Amity Rogers was the life of any party. Her joy and energy were infectious.
When I am 13, will I be taller than you?
She was also the family peacemaker and always cared deeply for others, especially her cheeky two brothers and baby sister.
She was funny and she was loving. She was a spirit that just threw herself into life.
In 2016, energetic little Amity suddenly changed. She stopped laughing, the spark in her eyes were gone, and she had troubles concentrating and then struggled to keep her balance and started falling over. Her parents, Mary Ellen and Jackson, rushed her to hospital knowing something was wrong. Initially, they suspected epilepsy, but after a range of tests, they were delivered the heartbreaking news that their precious little girl had an aggressive brain tumour.
To be given the news, I remember it very, very vividly. It was like a knife wound. I imagine a knife wound to my gut. It was just horrendous.
In another devastating blow, the specialists then confirmed Amity's tumour was a diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, or a DIPG, an incredibly rare and aggressive brain tumour that is inoperable, with no cure and no viable treatment. The average life expectancy is just 9 months. Amity was just 4.
When we were finally together in the room with the social worker, and it was late at night, and he was telling us that it was a tumour, he started to cry, and I really appreciated that because that was what told me that I was losing her. I just think that's what I needed. I needed to know what this meant, as horrific as it was.
Despite the devastating prognosis, Amity continued to fight, even drawing her good cells trying to kill the evil tumour. Amongst all the tears and hard battles, Amity's fighting spirit continued to shine, leaving her parents with many beautiful but bittersweet memories.
Where are we going, Amity?
To the beach!
One of the memories I have, which is really powerful for me, shortly after she completed radiation and she was quite well, we went to the beach. After a time, it was pretty scary. I could see that Amity was getting a bit worried that what if we don't get back to shore, because this is really choppy and windy. And she said to me, "But what if you forget me, Daddy?" And she meant, what if you forget to hold on to me? But for me, it was filled with other meanings. And I said to her, "I'll never forget you, sweet pea. I'll never forget you." And she was happy.
After fighting for more than 18 months, Amity lost her ability to walk, talk and see. Her little broken body shut down. Just days after Christmas in 2017, Amity passed away at the age of 6. During her treatment, the Rogers family had worked closely with the team at the Children's Cancer Institute in Sydney. Now the Rogers wanted to give back, and so they decided to donate Amity's tumour to the Institute's Tumour Bank, the first of its kind in Australia.
One thing I like is to know that she's been buried without it. It's a sort of funny little...
Because it was such an evil part of her life.
Yeah, she hated it. And so it was taken out of her body. Every little bit was taken out because, as our oncologist said, scientists around the world will be clamouring for every little millimetre of this tumour.
Ironically, Amity had always dreamed of being a scientist when she grew up. The fact her tumour is now helping some of the best scientists in the world find better treatments and one day hopefully a cure provides some comfort for her heartbroken family.
Obviously, I would rather just have Amity. I would rather Amity just be with us, but if I can't change that, but we certainly could do something by making sure the scientists have the tissue that they need.
Amity's tumour tissue is one of more than 20 separate samples at the Institute's Tumour Bank, which has opened a whole new frontier in cancer research and treatment.
We've actually been able to use these tumours for the first time in the world to actually start growing them in the lab. and actually start testing drugs. And we've screened thousands and thousands of drugs and actually come up, most of them don't do anything. It's a very difficult tumour to treat, but we've actually started to come up with some drugs that actually seem to work in the laboratory.
The lab trials have been so successful, they now have been fast-tracked into clinical trials. For the first time, children suffering these rare and deadly cancers have real hope and a chance of surviving. The scientists have been able to unlock some of the genetic mysteries of this cancer and develop more targeted, effective treatments.
For example, we had a patient where, when we looked at that patient's tumour, we found that actually it had a mutation, a genetic change that we usually see in breast cancer. So we actually treated them with a breast cancer drug and we saw that tumour completely disappear.
You're kidding?
No. And that's something we would never have thought of. We'd never have anticipated that this would be a treatment we would use for this brain tumour. But because of this research that we're doing, because of this analysis that we're doing, we're actually starting to come up with new, completely innovative ways to treat this sort of tumour.
Every day is a challenge for the Rogers family as they continue to mourn their beloved Amity. But it's her zest for life, her will to fight against all the odds, and her compassion for others that continues to live on in their hearts.
Well, if she, at age 6, could bear that heartache, and she did know she was dying, and yet live with such joy and productivity, I think, well, I need to be able to do that. I think I can carry the pain and yet apply myself to living well, and I do it because she did it.
They're truly the most incredible family. I can't even begin to imagine. I don't think you ever get over losing your child. It's the worst possible thing.
Wow.
But to know that Amity, as I mentioned in that story, had wanted to be a scientist, and parts of her tumour are now helping to save other kids' lives is one of the most selfless, extraordinary acts this family has done. And these guys need to be named Australian of the Year. You know, this family are these extraordinary scientists that every day are changing and saving lives.
I found it extraordinary when Amity's mum mentioned that she's been buried without the tumour. It never occurred to me that it was, very special people.
Beautiful job.
Very well
told.
Yeah,
Beautiful
I could hardly even bear to watch all this, and I thought there's no way any goodness could emerge from that horror. But you actually did. You pulled it out.
The real heroes, as I said again, are the extraordinary scientists and researchers and the beautiful Rogers family. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to tell your very, very inspirational story, and Amity will continue to live on in all of our hearts forever. And if you want to find out more about this extraordinary work at the Institute, or you want to visit the Children's Cancer Institute to see the extraordinary work that they're doing, or to donate because they need funds to continue this life-saving and life-changing work, the details are on your screen. You can visit the website, which is ccia.org.au.